Okay, thanks, Abby. Okay, we're going to get started. Welcome everybody to our Kingsburg Public Safety Committee meeting. Today is Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. First on our agenda is to approve our agenda.
Motion.
Motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Next, we have presentations and informational reports. Today, we have none. Next on our agenda, we have public comment. Public comment provides an opportunity for members of the public to address the committee on items of interest to the public within the committee's jurisdiction and which is not already on the agenda this evening. It is the policy of the committee not to answer questions impromptu. Speakers should limit their committee to not more than 3 minutes. For items which are on the agenda this evening, members of the public will be provided an opportunity to address the committee as each item is brought up for discussion. Seeing nobody in our council chambers, unless Sean, do you have any public comment? No, okay, thank you, Officer Stevens. Then I will close public comment. Next, we have regular agenda. Approve the minutes from the 8/12/2024 meeting. So can I get a motion to approve our minutes? Got a motion?
Second.
In a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Minutes are approved. Next, we have Police Department camera update, and that's going to be given by Lieutenant Sean Stevens. Sorry about that. Lieutenant Stevens.
Good afternoon, committee. Just a quick update on the body-worn camera that we did a presentation several months ago. We went live with our cameras. We issued them back in March, gave the officers an opportunity to use them, see the functionality of them, the body-worn as well as the in-car cameras. Several of them took that opportunity. A few of them just kind of waited around and waited to see how other people were working with the cameras. But we, as a department, we wrote policy on the use of the in-car and body-worn cameras. That policy was pushed out to the officers, and we went live in August with our cameras. We've had a lot of positive feedback because of them. We haven't received any negative feedback from the citizens. We've actually been able to curb some complaints that came in from citizens. After we go back and talk to the citizens and review the body-worn camera, we can show the citizens. I had one that she said an officer was rude and said some things the officer didn't say, and when I reviewed the body-worn camera footage, I can go back, and I went in and told her, I said, this complaint is unfounded. This is not what the camera footage showed, and offered to show it to her, and she refused to look at it and didn't want to see it and walked off. So they are positive in that aspect. The officers, we haven't had any complaints from the officers. They're doing as they should be doing. Any questions about them? I know, Linda, you've probably seen some of the officers at the schools, and they just go on with normal. I don't think people even really realize that they're there or on.
Definitely a positive impact for our SRO, Jimenez. He's doing a great job. We're so thankful for him. I know you've heard me say that many times, but just to have the cameras on to know that's recording. Also, I assume that you told us last time that if they fall over or if they're running or something like that, that safety feature is functioned to call for backup and stuff like that. So I think that it's a very good thing.
Yeah, no, and the officers are reminded of that. You know, they'll take their external vest carrier off and set it down for a second, and it'll start body worn camera down. So it starts to activate that because some of them lay them down. So it's just a good reminder. It's just getting used to things, but it's been a very good system. Again, the company, the vendor we went with, utility, they're very easy to work with. We have 24-hour technical support with them, so if there's any problems with either of the cameras, we can call them. They get on it right away. We actually had a car camera that for some reason it wasn't in focus. We got on the phone with support. They were able to go in and check all the diagnostics with the camera, make sure the settings were all correct, which they were. And they said, no, this isn't right. We're going to send you out a new camera. So they sent us a new camera so we can switch them out. And just very, very responsive to our needs.
During the trial period and the learning curve, were there any things that you took away from that either enhanced the performance or things that allowed you to make them more specific for Kingsburg's needs?
No, I think the cameras overall, our officers are very well trained. We do a good job with that, and officers really know how to talk to the citizens. So as far as curbing complaints, I didn't really see that being an issue because our officers are very respectful to people. So I didn't really see that. They're just getting used to wearing them, and sometimes we've had some activations because of the holster sensor, because we have sensors on the holster, so anytime they draw their weapon, that will activate. Well, we've had it so, say they'll take their holster out and put it in a locker because we have somebody in the booking area, and they forget that it started, their camera's recording. So we've had some accidental recordings with things like that it's easy. We just mark them as accidental, and they'll delete after so many days. But little things like that are normal, just getting used to things. Overall, they've been very helpful. We've had different cases where they've come in and the DA's office is working with us, even though, a lot of the agencies in our area went with Axon. So the DA's office was very familiar with Axon and how they work. And, we've had to educate the district attorney's office and work with them on, getting our videos to them and that process. But we're working through all that.
The vehicle that they've sent out, I'm assuming it's a advanced replacement.
Yes.
Is that the only mechanical or equipment failure that you've experienced so far?
So far, we've had one that the front camera wasn't focused. We had we call it the dome camera. It's the actual camera that's in the back passenger area of our cars that will record somebody that's sitting in the back of the vehicle. We had one that the audio wasn't working. We did the same thing. We called tech support. They checked everything, and they said, no, everything looks good. We're going to send you out a new camera to do that. We had one car, if you remember, those cameras in the cars activate by certain things. They can activate by activating your light bar, hitting a gun lock, a shotgun release. We had one car that for some reason the shotgun release kept activating it. So we called the company, they checked everything, they said, no, we can't figure it out. We used Cook's Communication in Fresno to upfit all our cars that came down, and they were trained on how to install the cameras. We took it to them, they had to do a little bit of rewiring, and we haven't had the problem since. So we're working through all the little technical issues, but they've been very responsive in helping us out.
So it sounds like the payoff has far outweighed the small glitches.
Yes,
Terrific.
Absolutely.
I have a couple questions for you.
Yes.
I think you addressed this when you first reported out to us. Is it a subscription with this company? So every year you'll have to, they're helping you obviously with the continual surveillance.
Yes, it's a 5-year contract essentially is what we do, and we give them a payment once a year for 5 years. But that'll be, we'll continue that relationship even after that. If we need to upgrade our cameras, we can upgrade the cameras at that time. And, anything that gets broken while on duty, it's replaced by the company automatically.
And then my other question is, it sounds like there has been, time where staffing has had to delete the accidental recordings, call because something's not working, see that, it wasn't in focus and all of that. Have you just been able to deal with that within your current staff, or is there additional hours? Is there a person that is now dealing with these issues that they're minor, but they come
Yeah.
up and it takes time out of the day? So just wondering how you're dealing with that.
Usually it's myself that deals with them, because I've been working with the project so long that I was there when they did all the installs in the cars and the training and different things. So it's pretty much me that takes on that responsibility of, if they're having a problem with something and I'm not on duty, I can always ask them to call the support, and they do that. If I'm on duty, we'll call the support together, or I send a lot of emails to support and start creating tickets, and they get back to me right away. So that's pretty much fallen on me. But the officers, they do it as well. They contact support, or they'll tell their sergeant. If it's an officer, they'll tell their sergeant they're having an issue, and then that gets brought up the chain of command, and we take care of it pretty quick.
Thank you. Perfect.
You're welcome.
What is the penetration? Do all the officers have cameras now?
Yes, so all of our officers and sergeants have cameras. The detectives, so our detectives are a little different because they're in the office most of the time. And Lennis, you might not have seen this. You weren't here last when we did the presentation. All the cameras, the body-worn cameras, are basically a cell phone, and they go inside of the vest carrier. They snap in. You'll see a little grommet in a vest carrier. Our detectives are in the office most of the time. They're not wearing their vests all the time. So what I do, I ordered them it's pretty much a lanyard, the same thing, so they can put their camera in it. If they're doing an interview in the office or something, they can still have their camera. If they need to go out on a call for some reason, they take the camera out, put it in their vest, and they're good to go.
Any other questions? I have a question.
Yes.
Lieutenant Stevens, so do they have to activate it? Say they're interviewing somebody, or they're on the street, pull somebody over, the car camera automatically start. They have to activate it to record.
So if
the dash cam,
their dash cam, as soon as say they're gonna pull somebody over, as soon as they activate that light bar, as soon as they flip that little switch that turns on the lights, the car camera starts automatically.
Oh, it does.
So it'll start automatically, and it'll actually go back 30 seconds. It'll capture that. There will be no audio, but it'll capture the 30 seconds before it, and then you'll get audio after 30 seconds. The other part to that is when that activates, as soon as they open the driver door, there's a sensor on that as well, and that will activate their body-worn camera. So as soon as they get out of the car and their lights are active, their body-worn camera will activate as well.
that was my next question. Okay.
Yeah. So there's been a couple times where if you just pull up on a random call, somebody flags you down, you're not turning on your lights, your camera's not necessarily going to be on. If you get out of the car and they decide they need to turn it on, they could tap it, it'll turn on. They can start it from there. It's almost like a watch, but there's no face on it. It just has some buttons. They can activate it that way. So there's a couple different ways they can activate it.
So in that scenario, have you established policies on when a camera should be self-activated?
Yes. There are policies. We did enact that. And really, the officer can activate that camera anytime they think anytime they want to, really, and they're activating it just because it's there. It's better to have it than not to have it.
Have you had any public requests for video yet?
We have.
Yeah, okay.
So they do the Public Registry Act through our records department. Our records department can go in and they can do redactions. So if it's juvenile, they can blur out faces. They can do that stuff. So we have, and I believe it was released. And of course, we release all of our video to the district attorney's office when they request it.
Okay.
Yeah, but normal request. Anytime they have a public records, they have to go through the records department. They have to request it formally, and we will evaluate it. And if it's something that we can release, we'll release it. If not, then we won't.
FOIA request, or is that a different request?
It's a PREA, Public Records Release Act.
Any other questions? Well, it sounds like that that's a good thing for Kingsburg PD, you know, the body cams and the dash cams. And it's, you know, it sounds like it already helped out with that one lady that came in and was obviously lying.
Yeah.
Because once you said, hey, do you want to see the video? Right away, she was like, no, and she left, right? You know?
Yeah, and
She
again,
knew she was lying.
we're kind of the envy of the area because most other agencies only have body-worn cameras. They don't have the in-car cameras, so.
Well, they don't, okay.
Yeah, we're a step above on that.
Lieutenant, one last question. Obviously, I hold the police department and its officers in very high regard already. However, have you noticed an increase in the level of professionalism as a result of the cameras, or have they continued just to maintain where they were already established?
They continue where we've already established. And that's, you know, be honest, be courteous, and treat people the way you'd want to be treated. And again, we haven't seen any increase in complaints or anything else with or without the cameras.
Great. Okay, if there's no more questions, thank you.
Thank you,
Lieutenant
committee.
Stevens, for
Appreciate
coming
it.
in and for the update. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on the agenda. Next, we have number 3, use of funds discussion. So we continue to talk about what we might possibly use our funds for this year. I know we still have some time, but does anybody have any ideas or want to bring anything up that we could possibly use our funds for?
I think that was one of the discussions we had last meeting, was to see if someone had any epiphanies or thoughts of where it would be best to use. Myself, I didn't, because I've always preferred, let's kind of wait till we get a little further down the road, so that we can fully cover all potential needs.
Right.
So I myself did not have anything.
Well, in thinking about it, and I'm glad Lieutenant Stevens is here, maybe he can enlighten us. But I rather than think about the big picture items, we think about donating the entire amount to some project or not, which is great. But I also think about some of the little things that fall through the cracks, and some of the things I've been thinking about. I know some departments do things like carry teddy bears in the trunk, or I think Fresno PD or the Fresno Sheriffs had books that they would take, and I think about funding some of these kinds of projects that may not fit on a line item in a budget, but may be something that the department thinks about. Do we need something like this? So, just as a thought, I don't know if there's anything specific that the department thinks about, but that might be something that we could help fund too.
Yeah, that's true.
Years ago, I served on a citizens advisory committee for Sheriff Mims in the Sheriff's Department. And a lot of those items at that point were donated through the Fresno County Neighborhood Watch Association, which was long gone. I mean, times change. But the impact and the benefits of such things were certainly felt in the field by the deputies at that time. So, I think that's a terrific idea to discuss and kick around. Certainly get feedback from the police department, the amount of youth that they encountered, small children, things like that, we teach our children to respect police officers. At least we used to now. Times have changed again a little bit, but many times a child's first interaction with law enforcement is a scary situation. It's very traumatic, and in terms of a public safety perspective, I think that's a really good idea to see how we can make things a little bit easier, a little bit more comforting for those young children, things like that. That's a great idea.
From the school district perspective, I'd love to kind of add to that thought process. That was a great idea. We've been partnering with the police department, the sheriff department, the last 2 years now, doing something called Safety Day. So at each school site, we would have a day where we have all kinds of first responders, including the police department, which has our biggest presence during those days because they're ours, right? And we absolutely love it. We have the fire department and the sheriff's department too. But where both of us, the school district and the department, is often a little bit locked up, is what we have this day where the officers come, the kids can learn about their different, things, even equipment, even being able to put on, the vest, obviously with not any weapons, don't worry, Lieutenant, but putting the vest on, maybe holding the shield or other things, getting in the cars, getting in the SWAT vehicle. We even had the sheriff's department come with the helicopter. It's a wonderful event for each school site to have. We're going to continue that regardless with our partnership with these different agencies, but we and the agencies, we have a hard time having things to give to the kids. Well, I'm thinking even about a magnet to take home with different numbers. I know that dispatch now goes through the sheriff's department. Of course, we're going to tell them to call 911 if needed, but what if we could provide something as a community that we could partner with the fire department and the police to give the kids something that they could take home and have, that has some instruction or has some way of making that connection real, that they spent the day, they saw the helicopter, they saw the police dog, they got on, the kindergartners get on the motorcycle. It's really a neat thing. But how can we extend that to what can they take home? And can we do something like that as safety? Because it really does reach to the sheriffs, the fire department, the police department, and number one, we would need to do that in partnership, and number two, having funds to produce something like that, a magnet or a sticker or something that's tangible for the kids. Just an idea.
You said that's called Public Safety Day for school?
Each school site picks a safety day. We actually just completed Lincoln
Safety
and
Day.
Washington and Rafer. And so in the morning they all show up and the kids go, at the junior high, the kids kind of free roam and are able to go see different agencies. At the junior high, we even have kind of a career component. So we had Army there, and I think Coast Guard was also there as well. Whereas like the kindergarten, first, second, third grade, they are taken to each site with their teacher. And we had sheriff's department, police department, fire department, and then the COS Police Academy was there. Internet safety, which is part of the sheriff's department, was there. So it's not just that agency is there; it's also different. You could probably do a better job at this, Lieutenant, than I can, but different parts of their agency, like their SWAT, their search and rescue. The motorcycle officer was there from Kingsburg PD. And then, so it will be, I'm going to get the day wrong. Next week, we'll have the Roosevelt and Central Valley Homeschool Day combined to have Safety Day. And then Reagan is actually waiting to the spring to do their Safety Day. It's a huge impact on kids not having that first touch point with a first responder to be a scary one. We're trying to have them be talking to them and getting to know who they are one-on-one. And we would not have been able to have this happen without the support of the SRO last year and this year with Officer Jimenez, just to try to bridge the gap between the different agencies and come together. So it's already an awesome partnership, and I think that we could definitely lift it up with something that the kids could take home, tangible, that reminds them of a great time with the officers, and also a usage for their safety at their home.
Well, so it sounds like, based on the age group, this would be a multifaceted approach for items provided. Again, I think all worthy, as long as they're not used for a recruitment purpose. I'd say keep these ideas coming, because this one today it's a great idea. I think it's something we should consider really going down that road a little bit further, investigate and see the feasibility.
Yeah, I agree that, that's what our funds are for, stuff like, say, your safety day, the school safety day, that's exactly what our funds are for, stuff like that, for, like you're saying,
Let's get the information into the kids' hands.
yeah.
They can keep themselves safe, their family safe. Would be great.
You said that one school's doing it in the spring?
Yes, Reagan will be doing it in the spring.
Reagan, okay. Any other ideas on public funds? I know, I kind of agree with Dale, with Alan, that, we have a long time, but, what Lennon just brought up is, that's a very good point of something we could use our funds for.
Well, and I think the effectiveness of it overall is well seen. When you look at Kingsburg as a community and the relationship of youth with the police department, I think is pretty strong. And I judge it by little anecdotal things such as at every high school home game, the presence of the police department there and the interaction with all the officers, with students and with parents. It's very strong, and you don't see that too often. So that's a great relationship, and if we can do things that just help bolster that relationship even a little bit more, if we help it, the young crime victim or witness, things like that. So many things we can do by looking at this. I think it's terrific.
Any other ideas? Okay, well, we can,
How about this? How about it? I will volunteer to work with the SRO and the sheriff's department and the fire department, see if we can come up with something tangible, and I'll bring it back.
bring it back, yes,
And like,
definitely.
what would it cost us? What would be the appropriate, because I'm not positive what the appropriate information would be. And so I'll take that. If
Yeah, you mentioned,
if the committee is good with that, I'll come back
we are,
with some
yeah,
ideas.
we're definitely good with it. Yeah,
I think what I'd like to see
it's a
is
good idea, Lynn, thank you.
not just the public safety, but possibly get input from a lieutenant or possibly the chaplains, or what are the needs from the, as I used to call them, the beat cops as well, from what they see. So again, we're approaching it from different sides and getting a greater impact.
We meet again in, is it January? Abby, it's not,
February. So
February,
it's a
okay.
holiday, so it'll be the Tuesday after the.
Would that be enough time? That's before,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's before spring, so that'd be great, yeah.
Write myself an email, so I don't know.
Right, huh? Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, moving on then. Next on our agenda is future agenda items. Which,
One future agenda item would be to circle back on this discussion and see what Linda was able to bring back.
right. That's a good one. Any others? Of course, we'll probably have, use of funds discussion again, which we pretty much have almost every meeting. Okay, yeah, thank you, Alan. Well, that'll definitely be one of them. Next, we have on our agenda committee member reports. Does anybody have anything to report they'd like to report out on? No? I'll just say I went to the game Friday night, and glad to see Kingsburg beat Redwood. It's nice to beat those big schools.
I was amused to see Paxton got credit for a tackle, but then they quickly corrected
Yeah.
it, and my grandson was pretty happy with that correction.
With that correction, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they had to double up the numbers because the kids they pulled up from JVs, yeah. Okay, then, if there's no more committee member reports, next I will thank you all for coming today, and thank Lieutenant Stevens for being here, giving us that update, and I will adjourn today's meeting. Thank you. Yeah, let us know, Linda,
Yeah.